Welcome to Diaspora Network, the show that showcases Nigerians who are doing marvelous things in different parts of the world. Now, on the show today, we bring you the unique story of Nigeria's trailblazers in the education sector. Our special report zeroes in on diaspora efforts to drive down the statistics of out-of-school children in Nigeria, and then the unique story of Ibironke Adeagbo, a chartered accountant turned social advocate. She's on an altruistic mission to keep Nigeria's children within schools. It's quite an episode that we have for you today, but first off, let's kick off with the news of the week.
Disney has released a trailer for the eagerly anticipated Disney Plus original film, Rise, a biographical movie about the talented Antetokounmpo family, who, after emigrating from Nigeria to Greece, struggled to survive while living under the daily threat of deportation.
They said I didn't belong, that it was impossible.
The film has been described as one of both incredible struggle and extraordinary success. As the family struggles to get by, the brothers, Giannis, played by Uche Agada, and Thanasis, played by Rao Agada, played basketball in their free time, and they soon find that they are exceptionally skilled in the game. Both Giannis and Thanasis end up playing for the Milwaukee Bucks, helping them to secure their first championship in 50 years. Kostas joins the Los Angeles Lakers. At the age of just 27, Giannis is considered among the most accomplished players in NBA history, with a statistical record that can be compared to the best basketball players in the world. Rise will premiere exclusively on Disney Plus on June the 24th. Scores of British Nigerians emerged victorious in the recently held local elections in the United Kingdom, solidifying the strong relationship between the two nations. In a recent report, the UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office expressed a desire to work with the Nigerian community in the UK, and the recent dominance at the ballot box confirms these sentiments. Joshua Ayodele has been appointed a Labour councillor in Woolwich, an area in south-east London that is home to thousands of Nigerians.
I think one thing that I clearly want to do as a young Nigerian, but also a person just passionate about every nationality, what I want to do is I want to empower people to believe that there is an interest that they can have in politics. There is something they can do that can they can cultivate a change in politics, not only in their society, but more globally. So, you know, there are issues that have connections to Africa. That's very true. But I want to empower the next generation, and I'm only a conduit for that. I'm not the superhero that delivers on that. I am someone that would just try and enable young people to understand how they can put their foot forward and make a strong effect in society.
Festus Mbusiogu, the chairman of the Blue Diamond Group, is calling for urgent assistance for Nigerians who have been unable to visit family and friends in China due to the ongoing lockdowns and lack of consular activity in Lagos and Abuja. 2.5 years into the pandemic, China's total lockdown of Shanghai, its largest city and financial hub, has created economic chaos and sparked a backlash of tens of millions of residents who have been prevented from going outside, even to obtain food or to seek healthcare.
Other countries of the world have opened their offices, their consulate, their embassies. People are going there and going and coming out. But in Nigeria, the two embassies, the one in Abuja and Lagos, is closed down for the public. The worst of it all, because I represent Nigerians in China, their former NIDO coordinator. There's this association, Nigeria Men Marrying Chinese Association. Most of them have left their families for the past 2.5 years. They can't reconnect to their children, they can't reconnect to their wife, they can't do their business. Their children have been begging, their wife have been begging for them to come back, but without visa they cannot come back. I also want to let you know, what we have as visa in China is just 1 or 2 years visa, just like business visa. We are not having access to social amenities like incentive and other tax cuts. We don't have it.
Juliana Olayinka with the Diaspora Network News Wrap in London.
So, we caught up with the activities of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. They've done a lot of engagement with citizens who are abroad. Let's take a look.
It's a beehive of activity at the office of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission in Abuja. It starts off with the flag-off of the virtual diaspora data mapping system by the chairman of the commission, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, and in attendance are Nigerian ambassadors to Liberia and Sierra Leone, a representative of Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, amongst others. The diaspora data mapping is a process of acquiring information about Nigerians in diaspora through online registration and basic demographics for the purpose of planning, engagement, and development.
Diaspora data mapping registration's objectives include to create a skills map of Nigerians in the diaspora. Now, this is very important so we can be talking about effective management for Nigeria's development. So it's very, very important if we talk about skills mapping for diaspora development. It's also important to aid us in establishing contact with Nigerians in the diaspora. Now, this is important also for information dissemination and coordination. If we have an active data, we can collect, process, and publish accurate statistical data on relevant subject matters such as remittance, economic value, and social welfare of Nigerians in the diaspora. Now, if you don't know where you are and what you're doing, how can we come in when we're needed? So it's very important to be able to do that. Now, when we set up the data portal, yeah, you've been trickling in, coming in and out to register, but it is not enough. So if we're saying we're 17 million in the diaspora, we have to do a lot more. I know, for a lot of people, you worry, what do you want to do with my data? Nothing, actually, but for the reasons I've highlighted. Skills mapping, accurate information.
The NITCOM chair also received a 7-member delegation from the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, led by the Secretary General, Mr. Georges Rebelo Chikoti. The visit addresses plans to host an upcoming diaspora convention. Mr. Chikoti points out the level of development that can be achieved if African countries harness the huge human and capital resources of its diasporans more constructively. He also applauds NITCOM for its commitment towards the actualization of this aspiration.
You realize, Your Excellency, that not many of our countries have been working on the issue of diaspora as well as Nigeria has. I do recall that when I was minister, we have a department which handles the diaspora. But one of the major failures is that if the society itself is not well democratized, then most of our staff went to talk to others based on their political convictions. And I think that a diaspora perspective should be open independently of whichever party someone belongs to. If you're supported by Nigeria in Africa or elsewhere, you make a step forward. And so we do count on you, Your Excellency, and we will work very gladly with you. And thank you so much. I think this is not an easy task, but you've done a lot of work.
In another social engagement effort, the Commission is close to marking another milestone as it's working with the Federal Mortgage Bank on final preparations for the launch of a housing scheme for Nigerians in the diaspora. The initiative is aimed at easing the challenge of Nigerians who are interested in acquiring property back home.
If there's a biggest problem the diaspora has, is about housing. A lot of them want to build their homes. A lot of them want to buy homes. They have something here. But at the end of the day, you hear stories of, oh, I gave this money to A, B, C, D, and it disappeared. I came back and look at what I found. So having a commission in place for the diaspora, we need to protect them because that's why we're set up. So we, working with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, the diaspora mortgage policy will do two things. One, enables the diaspora to open an account with you, be entitled to 15 million naira mortgage, and I'm sure they all want to build houses much more than that, which they can afford to do, and then be able to own their own homes through developers that are certified. So we'll cut all the duping and the problems encountered with Nigerians abroad. So Nigerians abroad can sit in the comfort of wherever they are abroad and be comfortable with the fact that yes, we can own our own homes.
Are you a Nigerian in diaspora? Do you have a need to contact Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NITCOM? Kindly dial any of the numbers on your screen. You can also catch up with all the Commission's activities, including news, articles, and office events on the website nidcom.com.gov.ng.
Now that's impressive. Nigerians are recognized globally for attaining some of the highest academic qualifications in the world. And that's quite impressive considering that 1 in 5 out-of-school children in the world is a Nigerian. Take a look at what we found about beating the odds to get a good education.
Education is one of the most powerful weapons that can change the world. And that's because it's an early step of socialization that helps humans to gain the knowledge, critical thinking, and skills needed to make the world a better place.
Say, I am Master Usman. I am Master Usman.
The UN Sustainable Development Goal number 4 harps on these needs and targets achieving inclusive and quality education by 2030. In some countries, there's been success in meeting this goal, but progress has been slow in developing regions due to insecurity and high level of poverty, and this in turn has led to an increase in the number of out-of-school children. UNICEF's 2022 statistics shows an estimated 10.5 million children are out of school in Nigeria. It also shows that 1 in every 5 of the world's out-of-school children is in Nigeria, a menace that needs urgent intervention. But in spite of this, Nigeria is celebrated as one of the countries with the best education minds achieving success in different fields on an international scale. According to a 2017 data from the Migration Policy Institute, Nigerians are the most educated of all immigrant groups in the US, with 61% holding at least a bachelor's degree. But back home, far too many young children are not in the classroom. One of the ways experts suggest that the country's education system can be transformed is not through arbitrary funding, but targeted investment.
What is budgeted is more often than not what is disbursed or released. Instances abound when funds allocated have been mismanaged.
But that's just at the basic level. At the tertiary institutions, learning is often interrupted by prolonged teaching union strikes, but the government argues that a lot is being done in terms of policy. At the Global Education Summit in 2021, the government pledged to increase the country's annual domestic education expenditure by 50% over the next 2 years, a move welcomed by UNICEF in 2022. But the sector is still struggling. There's a call for governments to do better, as every Nigerian child, irrespective of where they are, has a right to education, as it is the best way to secure the future of a country.
Well, that's some food for thought. Now, behind me is the sort of learning environment that should be the norm for the average child. Roomy space, robust facilities, and great grounds. Incidentally, not every child has this opportunity. Well, we found someone who's been recognized for her work, placing the average child in the right learning environment. This heart-wrenching viral video of young students in the Makoko area of southwest Nigeria caused many to reflect on the vulnerability versus access to basic primary education. Now compare this to this. That's what can happen when diasporans like Ibirunke Adeagbo resolve to export their international experience, knowledge, resources and skills to make a difference back home. So who is she? She's an accounting graduate of Olabisi Onabanjo University, a chartered accountant and fellow of ICANN and ACCA. She's an ICANN UK Merit Award winner and former chairman of ICANN UK. Her background is mainly in the United Kingdom's public and charitable sector, where she has worked as finance director and non-executive director of various UK organisations such as the YMCA, Transport for London, British Safety Council and the UK Home Office. She was nominated as Treasurer of all associations of Nigerians in the UK and is currently the chairman of the Education Committee of the Nigeria British Business Forum. She was recently awarded for being one of the 8 black and ethnic minority women in the UK that has professionally broken the glass ceiling. She's passionate about developing the future human capital indices of Nigeria using her experience of business in the UK. This passion birthed the IA Foundation, a UK organisation set to socially invest in Nigerian out-of-school children to ensure they are equipped with the right skills to reduce poverty and destitution, often identified as the root causes of security challenges in Nigeria. Welcome back to the program. Now let's get to know this award-winning social investor a little bit more. So you studied in Nigeria and then you went overseas. What in your background has prepared you for where you find yourself today with philanthropy?
When I was at university, I was very studious as well because I was aspiring to have the right skill set and to be able to do something for myself as an individual. So this sort of background, the Nigerian background I had was very, very useful for me when I got into the UK because we had good discipline, we were dedicated, we were focused on our education. So I found it extremely useful for me when I got into the UK.
You could have chosen any path. You have a very strong background in finance. So how did you end up in humanitarian work?
When I was in secondary school, I realized I had a passion and I had a flair for figure work, you know, so things like mathematics, accounting, you know, I was just scoring brilliantly well. So that was what encouraged me to study accountancy in the university. And I became a qualified accountant, not with just one professional bodies, but with 3 professional bodies because I was very good in finance and things like that. And now I'm sort of what I called midstream in my career, basically, the twilight of my career. And I feel very fulfilled in my chosen profession of accountancy. And in the UK, I predominantly work in the education sector. And we have a zero tolerance for out-of-school children and things like that. Every child needs to have access to education. They've got to go to school. If any parent don't put their children through school, you know, they will be faced with the law, you know, in terms of why they are not putting their children to school. And I will work as a Bossa Finance Director in the education sector. And our funding methodology was based on students that you have in your school. So the more students you have, the more money you have. So it became sort of my responsibility to make sure we have more bumps on seats so that we can get more money. And then for a minute, I thought, hang on, I'm doing this in the UK, ensuring that every British child is got education. But when I come to Nigeria on holidays, I find my fellow Nigerian children on the street roaming around. And that broke my heart, that these are my people. If I go out there, I'm doing it for the British, why can't I do it for my own people as well? And that was one of the motivations that made me feel, you know what, I need to be doing this back home, making sure every child has access to quality education.
And she did. She's been recognized globally for her efforts to remove barriers preventing the African child from accessing quality education and for empowering disadvantaged and vulnerable children in Nigeria. In 2011, she was honored at the Nigerian Centenary Awards in the UK, a recognition that celebrated 100 outstanding Nigerians in the UK in the last 100 years. We asked her the amount of traction she has made through the IA Foundation.
That's why we set up the IA Foundation, to be able to support people, give them the finances they need to make sure they can put them through school. Because as you know, poverty, insecurity and things like that, it's what's made the number of out-of-school children increase. So we are saying we are a resource. We'll bring money from the United Kingdom, pick up kids from the street, put them through school. Make sure they have the right skill set so that they are not attracted or they are not a feeder for the banditry and the kidnappers and things like that. And they have the right skill set to power the next manpower of the country. So I thought this is a good thing to do. And to me, it seems like the silver bullet to solving most of Nigeria's problem. Because if everyone has got access to education, can you imagine? You wouldn't be tempted to, you know, do bad things or go into crime and things like that. And we'll have a better country.
How exactly are you doing this? You said you come in, you see people on the street. So is it just any child you find on the street, or do you work with partners? What's the criteria for, you know, finding these children?
The criteria is that you need to be from a deprived background. Yeah, so we wouldn't go and sponsor a child who is from an affluent background. You must be from a deprived background. You must also not be in education. Yeah, so you are probably at home because your parents can't afford for you to go to school. So, and you must be vulnerable. So maybe like you're an orphan, or you're disabled, or maybe you're a girl child and your parents are thinking, you know, you are better off, you are best used in the kitchen and things like that. So those are the three key main criteria to make sure we can fund you. And we go to deprived areas. So the likes of Oshodi, the likes of Mushi. So our volunteers and staff, they go out there, go on the street, interrogate the kids, saying, why aren't you at school at this point, at this time? And it's either my parents are poor, they don't have money, my father died, my mother died, and we're like, okay, we are IA Foundation. We are happy to pay for you to go to school. Take us to your mom, or take us to your father, or take us to your whoever your carer is. They take us to them and we explain ourselves to them, and they're quite happy. They fill the application form, and then we take them and put them in school and pay for their fees and every other associated cost.
To the end of their education?
To the end, to secondary school stage.
Okay.
Yeah. We tend to concentrate more on primary and secondary school stage, because university is a different kettle of fish, as you would appreciate. Yeah.
What are your challenges? Because it seems quite easy to pick them off, take them to school, and then the education is on you technically.
Yeah.
What are the greatest challenges you've had with this? And then we'll talk about your success stories, because I know you're celebrating your first graduates and all that. But what are some of the challenges you've had coming from the diaspora in particular, coming and going, doing this kind of work?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it gives me lots of satisfaction. And I'll tell you why. Because, yes, we are based in the UK, but there's a saying that home sweet home, there's nowhere like home. Nigeria is our country, whether we like it or not. So, yes, we might be doing a lot and achieving out there. But until you do it back home, you don't feel fulfilled. So by doing it at home, you feel a sense of fulfillment that you're doing this for your own people. So it gives me a lot of satisfaction. So most of my annual leave at work, I spend it coming to Nigeria to do this project, to make sure, you know, we can put kids in school. The other challenge we do have is that when we go to their parents and say, you know what, we are from the UK, we want to put your child in school, they are very apprehensive, thinking this is too good to be true. What do you want? Do you want to kidnap my child? Why are you, you know, it's like, no, we are happy. We just want our kid to go hawking on the street. We're saying, you don't need your child to hawk on the street. We will pay for their fees. And it's usually a challenge, trying to get them to understand that we are real and we're here to help them. So it takes a lot of, you know, manipulation. I don't want to use the word manipulation. It means convincing. To convince them to say, you know, we are real and everything, and before they allow us put their child through school.
What are your biggest successes? What are you most proud about? You know, working with children like this and working on this project. I know you have a number of awards, but what would you say has been a high point for you?
Yeah. I mean, there are two high points for me, actually. During the pandemic, you know, most of the schools were shut. And kids were not having access to digital equipment, things like that. So what we did is we invested in e-learning devices. And we came around and distributed it to children to make sure while schools are shut down, you know, they can still learn. So I thought that was a very good one, you know. Also, the other big highlight for me is, I don't know if you remember, there was a viral video that went around about some children in Makoko.
Yes.
They were singing in a pool of dirty water.
Yeah.
And when that video went viral, many people contacted the foundation saying, IA Foundation, you need to do something about this. This is just not right. So we flew in from the UK. We then went into Makoko slum. We had to get a boat to actually get there. The water was so dirty and everything. And we went there and we said, you know what can we do for these children? You understand? And they said, we haven't got good water, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, how about if we invest in a borehole for you? And they said, fine. So we invested in a borehole for them. So all the children in Makoko there, they've now got access to clean water, you know, and we thought that was really good. And the kids were so excited about it. And that, in my view, was one strong point of what the foundation has done so far. Seeing the smiles on those children's faces gave me satisfaction and it gave me lots of joy.
Give us your candid advice for those who are in the diaspora who actually want to come home and invest, but they're skeptical somehow about doing so.
I'm very proud of Nigerians because we are always well educated. When we find ourselves abroad, we always make sure we equip ourselves quickly. We go to night school and things like that, equip ourselves and start moving up the ladder. However, what I will try and encourage Nigerians to do is when they find themselves up there in foreign lands, they shouldn't forget their country. Because I must say most of us are guilty of that. When we find ourselves very comfortable out there, we forget all about home. Please, 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 don't forget about home. You know, remember the people back home and try and do something to help them. Socially invest in your country because we only have one country and it's Nigeria.
What's next for you?
I would like a situation where Nigeria has zero number of out-of-school children. At the moment, it's about 10.5 million. So it's a tall order. So for me, what will give me satisfaction is every Nigerian child has got access to education. Every Nigerian child is educated. That would really give me lots of satisfaction. So I'm prepared to dedicate the rest of my life to making sure no child is roaming the streets and hasn't got access to education.
And here's how some beneficiaries express gratitude. What a thrilling story of service to humanity. Nigeria has over 17 million citizens in the diaspora, and the message to them is to leverage their positions of influence to make a positive impact back home. And that's it on the program. You can catch other episodes on our website, channelstv.com. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Let's do this again some other time.